Hello everyone, ockpii here, and it gives me great pleasure to initiate my new discussing series. This time, I'm going to be talking about Castle Story, which is a game being developed by Sauropod Studios, and the Kickstarter for this game actually ended on Sunday, which was 3 days ago from the date of this recording. So, this game is set in a bunch of floating islands above an infinite ocean, and you're even above the clouds and all that. There's a day and night cycle, and it's a sandbox game. You get to explore these islands and gather resources and build stuff, and it's an RTS, so you can command an army of yellow dudes called Bricktrons, and you get to fight guys called Corruptrons. And on this video, I'm going to give you an overview of how the game works and the mechanics that they've implemented so far, and basically just explain to you how the game is so far. I hope you enjoy it, and let's do this. So throughout Castle Story, you'll be building any structure basically that you can imagine. You can use materials such as stone and wood, which are the basic materials that we've seen so far, and crystals, but we'll get into that a little bit later. It's important that when you build a castle, you keep it simple, and that your Bricktrons can move easily through the structure. This game is a sandbox, which means that you can basically do whatever you want in it. So you can either have a gigantic fortress, a big bunker that is super tough against enemy attacks, or just underground tunnels or whatever. Since this is an RTS game, sort of, you can command your army of Lego men to do whatever you want and to work the way you want them to. So you can control them exploring the island, you can select a few to go mine, you can select a few to go build, you can do a bunch of stuff, and they all work together. So if you select a bunch of Bricktrons to mine stuff, they're all going to do it automatically and keep doing it. And if you select a few to build, they're going to be getting the materials off of the stockpiles automatically. So you don't have to worry about that sort of stuff. They're all going to work together very nicely. And I'm going to talk about classes and how they work in a little while, but basically you're probably going to be able to use resources to build weapons and armors, and you can upgrade them and your castle. There's also physics in this game, which means that you'll be able to see a lot of this when you're playing the game, which is quite nice. And the debris don't just disappear or fade out. You actually have to use your Bricktrons to clean it up, as you're seeing right now, which is also a very nice detail. So this means that you have to pay attention to the way you build your castle so that it can withstand hits, and so that you know what your weak spots are so that you can defend them properly. There's also combat in this game, of course, and I'm going to be talking about that in a little while when I'm talking about classes. And you can also build catapults, which is very nice. You can put exploding barrel on them, which helps to kill stuff. And also there is magic. So you can discover magical auras, which kind of look like fairies to me, and apparently you can mix them to create different effects, it says on the Kickstarter page. So by exploring the islands, you'll be able to find all these types of stuff and use them to your advantage. The game also features a night cycle, which I'm going to be talking about in a little while as well, but it basically means that while there are certain things that you can do during the day, such as building, you'll also be able to find these auras in the nighttime, presumably. And there's also a lovely star sky for you to gaze, I think, and it's really, really good. Now I'm going to talk to you about gathering resources and building. So firstly, I'd like to talk to you about the game HUD. So for selecting blocks and stuff, you get this awesome pie menu, or basically a radial or orbital menu, that makes selecting blocks something that's very quick for you to do. And it works really fast, and it's really useful. And it actually looks quite nice. So this is how you set up a mine in this game. Basically, you select the horizontal and vertical area for the mine. So its extension and its depth, essentially. And you should be careful when doing this, because you are on a floating island. You can dig yourself to the end of the island, which means the loss of materials and Bricktrons. So you don't want to be doing that. And as I've mentioned, mining works automatically. So once you set your Bricktrons to do their thing, they're going to be mining without you needing to supervise their work. So basically, as they use their pickaxes to dig through the ground, which is completely dynamically deformable and diggable because it's made out of voxels, they're going to be using their bags to pick up the tiny bits of stone that are going to be popping up at them. And as they go down levels of blocks, they're automatically going to be making stair steps in order to make climbing out of the mine much easier. In terms of stockpiles, as you can see, they are basically a plank of wood that you put down on the ground, and you can see that it takes about 4 bag drops in order for it to fill the crate of stone, and then it becomes 4 bricks of stone for the builders to use. You can also create barrels, and these are basically containers that can hold any type of material, but they're portable, so that's really useful if you want to move your base to somewhere else, or if you just want to move them for convenience if a mine is depleted or something of the sort. You can also chop down trees, which looks like this, and the Bricktron actually flees the falling tree because it presumably will kill anyone that stands in its path of fallingness. And then they just take it to the stockpiles as well. Bricktrons are clever guys, which means that they're going to be finding the quickest path in order to reach their objective. So, as you can see here, going down the hill was actually a longer path than actually going through the wall and get to the stockpile. And this happens with builders as well. So, if a block is too high to reach, they're just going to sit there waiting for you to command them to build a stair. Or if you start building another structure and the blocks are easier to reach, they're going to do that first. So they prioritize their constructions as well and their orders as well in a very clever way, it seems. So that's very nice. Okay, now moving to building, there are several types of blocks that you can use to build your castles and your structures. So you have the half blocks, which are basically cubes. You have the full blocks, as they call them, which are 2x1s, which are basically brick-shaped, and these are the ones that you're going to be using more often, probably. You have the arches, which are going to be used, for instance, for the lower part of a bridge, or maybe just for a gate or something like that, which is the main usage for them, I would suspect. You also have the stair blocks, as we've mentioned, and they basically make it so that your little dudes don't have to jump or climb, so they can just walk up and down an elevation and reach higher floors in your castle or structure. And you also have the wooden blocks, and we haven't seen much being made with the wooden blocks. We've only seen them being used as some sort of floor panel and castle foundation, so it looks really nice. We just haven't seen much use for them yet, but it does look really pretty. And as a side note, this game looks super good. Like, I really like the style, and I like how it's sort of TF2-y and Battlefield Heroes-y in a way, but it's got its definite own identity, and I really like that. When you're building something, the first thing you have to do is firstly set the ground for it. So when you select these blue blocks that I'm going to talk about, the ground is sort of terraformed to fit your construction, and then you place these blue blocks. And what are these blue blocks? These are called the phantom blocks. And basically what phantom blocks are, they are the foundation or the blueprints for your castle. So basically you can set them up really nicely first, and you can have a whole phantom castle. And you can delete them if you make a mistake or something like that. And then all you have to do is just select your Bricktrons and right-click the phantom blocks. And when you do that, they are all going to go up to their stockpiles filled with blocks and just start building your castle. Once again, prioritizing their tasks so that everything flows really nicely. If you have miners working at the same time, they're going to be filling your stockpiles while the builders build. So this is really like a really well-oiled machine, and it's really nice, and I can't wait to actually try this. Once again, you have physics, just wanted to remind you of that. So be careful when building your foundations and stuff like that, because it's really going to matter when you're being attacked or stuff. Okay, so now I'm going to talk to you guys about the units. So first we have the Bricktrons, in which we have the Worker, which is going to be responsible for all your hand labor and stuff like that. We have the Warrior, which is this handsome dude with the sword and shield and helmet. And we have the Archer, which has the bow, the quivers, and the Robin Hood cap. And the way classes work in this game, it's not like your average pick a class and that's it type thing. Basically, they are item based. So you can actually give a sword and shield to a Worker and he is going to take the role of a Warrior. Or you can have a Warrior simply have a shield and no sword or no helmet, or you can give the Robin Hood cap to a Warrior. It's basically like that. You can mix and match, and it's item based. That's what it is, and it's really cool actually. As for the baddies, we have the Corruptron and its big brother that was only made for the trailer. And the Corruptron normal size one is kind of the equivalent to the normal Bricktron, and it's the only complete enemy that the game has at the moment. Its big brother, it was only made for the trailer, as I've mentioned, and it's kind of dumb, and it's a lot stronger than the normal unit, but it's a lot slower as well. And its basic thing is that it can pick up rocks from the ground and throw it. In terms of combat, warriors have different tasks and orders that you can give them, so you can have them like patrol this area or stand guard or stuff like that. So it's not just a case of them standing in one place and just following everything that moves, like squirrel and stuff like that. And that was him running, by the way. Archers are a one-hit kill, their arrows are, but they often miss if the target is moving or coming towards them really quickly or something like that. Something that this game also has is a day and night cycle, which means that as time progresses on, day will turn to night and then night will turn to day. And there are some activities that you can do while it's daytime. You can build your fortress and prepare for nighttime. And I don't know if at night the Corruptrons actually come out. I don't think that's actually established yet. That's what the trailer shows us, kind of. But I assume that's how it's going to work in the actual game. And also the auras start popping out and stuff like that, which is actually really nice. And you can see on the trailer that on the nighttime castle we have torches, but these aren't actually torches if you actually zoom in on them and see what they are. They are crystals, and these yellow crystals have the attribute of being torches. And if you actually look at them, they actually look like they're cold because they have that weird smoky thing that ice things have. So that's kind of interesting. But yeah, they've said that crystals will have different colors and each seem to have different functions. So like a purple crystal will do something that a blue crystal won't. Stuff like that. And you can actually mine crystals, and I don't know if you can only do that when it's nighttime or not, but I don't know. Nighttime has pretty stars. But the crystals also point to magic, so their attributes and their ancient civilization thingy that you pick up, that's what they hint at. So maybe you can like have crystal arrows that glow and do immense amounts of damage, and like a flare that's made out of a red crystal or something like that. That would be cool. Something really quick that I'd like to point out is a special reward that they have. Like, backers will have their name in the game, which is actually interesting, but there are over 20,000 backers, which means that it would be the longest credit roll in history, probably. So they've come up with something that's called the Credit Island, which is basically an island dedicated to people's names, essentially. So there is going to be the atomic backers, which are basically people that donated huge amounts of money, that will have gigantic names on the island that you can actually break down, and they're going to have fairies in them and goodies. And then the rest of the name will be hidden throughout the island, so you have to dig for them and find them, and they're basically fairies with different colors that will all condense around the middle as you find them. And in your stupor to find these auras, you'll also be able to find fairies that have like concept art things hidden in fairies or auras and stuff like that, which is actually really nice. It's a good incentive to find names. And the island is going to be the same for everyone, so you can like mark the coordinates and then give it to people so that they can find your name or stuff like that. If you find my name, don't let me know because I want to be the first to find it. I'm probably not going to though. But yeah, that's actually pretty cool. Just 2 quick notes of information that I'd like to point out. First of all, the prototype that was promised to come out right after the Kickstarter will be coming out mid-October, they've said. They have a lot of stuff that they need to prepare, and plus it's over 20,000 backers, so that's what's going on that front. Also, there's something that I'd like to mention, which is X-ray vision that they've recently added to the build. So basically, if you're mining or if you're exploring your castle, you can use X-ray vision in order to see inside the structure. I don't know exactly if this works like if you select a character or if you can select an area to be visible, but it's a very good idea, and it's something that is actually needed for the kind of game that this is. And that brings me to the end of the video. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. This video is kind of a long one, but it's because it's the first one in the discussing series, and I always like to talk about everything for the first installment of a series. So yeah, this was actually one of the most fun I've ever had recording a video for some reason. This is really cool to make. And I actually have a notebook with stuff for this video. This is a pro video right here. So I hope if you enjoyed it. If you have, make sure to give me your opinion on the video and the content on the comments below. If you want, you can rate the video by telling me if you liked it or if you didn't like it. And if you want to be notified of whenever I'm making new video, just click the subscribe button. I also do Starbound videos, King Arthur's Gold videos, Cube World videos, and Project Zomboid, and I'll be doing much more in the future. On your screen right now, you have 2 videos of mine, so if you want to check them out, just click on them on the screen right now if you have annotations turned on, and I will see you on my next video. Until then, have a great time. Goodbye, guys.